PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of the PR Connections podcast is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Welcome to Breaking the Silence, Finding the Courage to be Heard. This is the podcast where we turn quiet fears into confident voices. And I am your host, Gail Larson. And today we are starting where so many of us live, and that's in silence. Not because we don't have anything to say, but because just fear convinces us that it's just safer not to say it. So in today's episode, which is called Why We Stay Silent, we are going to explore that. Now, I am joined by Cheryl Lynn, who brings a powerful perspective on fear and voice and what it takes to just speak anyway. Now, Cheryl Lynn is the founder of Joy Lee, and at the heart of her work is the Joy Intelligence JQ framework and the Chair of Joy, a 60-second practice that she's going to talk about during the course of this interview. So before we get into it, I just want you to know that it's not about becoming a perfect speaker. It's about understanding what holds us back and why. So Cheryl, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, Gail. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, the name of the podcast is just amazing. So I appreciate you getting people to understand. I think it's kind of like for me breaking through into silence, right? That's how I see it. So what does it mean to break the silence when it comes to silence? I don't know if that's interesting or not to you, but that's how I see it. Anyway, I am a founder of the amazing company called Joy Lee. Been working on it for 6 years. Actually, I've been building it my whole life, I think. And the crux of it all is to break the cycle of dysfunction. I think there's so much suicide, the mass shootings, the chaos in the world, let alone in our communities and our volunteer organizations, the lack of funding and everything that's going on in the United States. I think there's an opportunity to have a new modality. So I have brought with me a whole plethora of skills, from food and beverage industry to the bar and grill to just an entrepreneur in a few different categories. So I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Well, I'm so glad that you agreed to be on this podcast, because what you have to say is going to be so important and so impactful, especially for those who are just very hesitant about speaking up, just speaking up in general, or either having something that they really want to share, but they are just not that confident. And thinking about that, Cheryl, have you ever had a moment where you felt that staying silent was safer than speaking up?
I actually went through my whole life with the opposite of that. So I would be extremely unsafe and speak up all the time. You put your foot in your mouth. You've heard that saying. And I would be one of those people that would put my head on my pillow at the end of the night and go, why did I say that? Why couldn't I have just thought my reaction through? So I think that's the work that I've had to stop and think about, right? It's kind of like the E.F. Hutton with the microphone drop, right? You've heard of that. When you contemplate and say less, what you say actually has more validity and importance to the people that are following you. So as an influencer now, I think it's important to sit back, which is what the modality that you were talking about is, to take time to reframe what it is that you want to speak about. So what you speak about has more power.
Absolutely. And when you interact with the different people along your journey, you must come across people that are hesitant about speaking. Mm-hmm. And especially when you say, come on, let's sit in this chair of joy. And they're just like, so when people are afraid, mm-hmm. what do you think they're actually afraid of?
Yeah, so if we could talk about yesterday, right? We had a massive event and it was called the JQ 60 Voices. And we had literally every kind of speaker on that stage, right? From somebody who, just barely spoke other than to anyone other than their family, right? And are just coming out for the first time, all the way to very famous and influential TEDx speakers who do it for a living and for Fortune 500 companies. So the experience is really all leveled because everyone was asked to do the same thing, speak for 1 minute. So at every level, all the emotions came through for everyone, just different levels. And so I think, to answer your question, Gail, the most exciting part of, sort of getting through this is know that you just aren't going to get through it, right? There's going to be fear. There's going to be worry. There's going to be, are people going to judge me? All the emotions on the emotions map that we talk about all the time. It's like, what are you going to do except feel them and go and do it anyway? And generally speaking, like last night, people were receptive and helpful and they offered support. And I think at the end of the day, we just have to realize that people will be on our team no matter what happens up there on stage.
Yep, I absolutely. I noticed that, and everyone in the audience was so receptive. And a lot of times when the speaker would come up to the mic and they were very nervous and they started and then they paused, the audience was just so receptive of that. You could even hear they said, "We got you, we got you." So yes, no matter what the situation is, if you're in the right space, then people are going to support you. And there's so many people that they haven't been in that space, so they're really worried about that judgment and really worried about how they're going to appear to others as well. So
could I just say you, on the other hand, brought such clarity and ease. So I don't know if you can notice, once you practice, right? You knew what you were going to say. So if there was anything to offer our listeners, is it matters that you took the time to, what we did, sit in the chair of joy. We talked through things, we evaluated them, and you made that 1 minute just pop. Right. Versus you could tell which ones didn't go through the practice. And, so it matters, preparation. So I just wanted to say that. I think yours landed so well. And it was so much fun to watch. You make us feel at ease when you're so well versed.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I was actually nervous going up there, and I speak all the time. And that's the thing about speakers, no matter how much experience you have, you're going to get nervous. And that's because whatever you're doing, it means something to you. If you ever get up on that stage, at least this is my experience, and you don't feel nerves, then that's probably when it doesn't matter to you as much. And I don't know about your experience when you go up on stage or when you're talking to people, how you feel about the nerves.
Me personally, yes. Oh gosh, I can remember back in the day when I would go on stage or even at church or whatever I was doing, I couldn't even say my name. I'm Cheryl, and I would just start crying. And I think just over the years and just speaking and being stronger in your voice as a human and getting clear about who you are, what you're about. It's never gotten easier, but at the end of the day, I just decided there's nothing about me being on stage that matters, right? And so me being up there is just like, well, I have to say this for them, because if I don't, they don't get to hear the message. And so my message now rings more powerful than what I sound like or what they think my clothes look like or all the things. And so if I could tell you a really quick story about yesterday that should have sent me on a whirlwind, but it didn't. May I?
Absolutely.
So all week I had ordered this most gorgeous outfit and I was so excited to wear it. I saw myself on stage. I did all the preparing. And then the day before it didn't come. And then all day I was like, that's all right. It'll come in the morning. No big deal. So yesterday morning, the day of the event, by 10 a.m., still no outfit. And so I was like, all right, what's in my closet that I can wear, right? And so then the nerves started. It's like, I was so prepared. People were going to see my outfit. That's what mattered and all the things. And then it didn't come. And so I had just put on something that I had, and I had a friend go down, one of our speakers go down to one of my favorite dress shops, and I just bought a beautiful shawl and I put it over the top of some clothes, and it was a piece, man. And I don't know what about it, but the process of knowing that I can go up and down in all of the emotions on the way to a very important event that I've been planning for months and months, all of it just went out the window. Like, it's like, I could have gone up there in my swimming suit and it would have been just as vibrant out of my mouth. I promise you. So it doesn't matter necessarily, but what does matter is you take the time to just realize it's not about me. It was about them. So anyway, that's, so to answer your question, there's so many things that going into your first word on stage, just know what your first word is and have a freaking good time while you're up there.
That's right. And that was so phenomenal. The fact that you were able to just go with the flow. If you just put that mantra in your head, just go with the flow. And you just kind of passed over what you said that was really critical. And that is, it's not about me. It's about them. Yes. It's the reason why we're there in the first place. Yes. And if you just focus on them, then everything's going to be okay. And I had no idea about that outfit because you were definitely flowing. That shawl was on point. But in any event, so when we talk about what your message is, I remember when I walked into the event and then I kind of just touched your back and then I said, have you had a chance to breathe? So you said, oh, yes, let's go do it. So tell us about the Chair of Joy and how that could also help speakers and their nerves and that sort of thing.
I just have to tell you, first of all, as an ambassador of Joyly, Gail, you couldn't have popped in and touched my shoulder at the more appropriate time. So up until that moment, you weren't there, right? But all the unpacking and the moving and the building of the stage and the flowers and I think I made 62 decisions in 4 seconds or something like that. And so you're like, so the answer to that is the Chair of Joy experience is four simple, and I already did it on this call, by the way. It's sit, breathe, think, and feel, right? When you're moving through things and you're going really fast, you're reminding me to just sit down, which we did in the back of the theater, and we did sit, take it. And I think, where did we go? I forgot what I said when we go on a little.
We went to the beach.
Yeah. So I said, sit in a chair of joy at the beach, take a deep breath in. And I remember just saying out loud, like the seagulls and trees, and I let my mind just settle in and exhale all of the noise in the back. It was so noisy in there, and check sounds and all the things. And I just focused on the ocean going in and out. And then I said, think about this event all being over. It's all done. We're just, we're clapping. The audience had a great time, and all the speakers showed up and they did all the things, and then felt that in our body. So from our toes all the way up to our head and roll our neck around. That's kind of the process of the 4 steps. But I immediately talked all 3 of us, I think, into feeling a little bit better about the next steps. So you don't always lose everything, right, that's going on, but it sure allowed me to be more present with the rest of the conversations that day.
Wow. And I could tell the difference in you because before I even touched you, I was watching you.
Yeah.
And you were, and we had like 40,000 things going on at that same time. Yes. And then I could definitely tell the difference after you just had that moment.
Yes.
To take us through that Chair of Joy as well. So I'm thinking about when people choose to be silent, going back to why we stay silent. And so can you tell us anything, maybe professionally or personally, what the consequences are when we choose to be silent?
Absolutely.
Like missed opportunities or.
Yes, so many. I think that because of the chaos in the world, that's the reason I bought the Chair of Joy in the first place. And now I have 3 of them, right? I've taken them to mountains and backyards and executive boardrooms, and people just don't get silent. And even when they do, you heard Dr. Asante say yesterday, with all the mindful tools and all the yoga practices and all the therapies and modalities, no one takes the time to actually touch base with who they are as a human being and what they want to do. So when you sit in silence, and even before the chair of joy, I knew that if I just sat at the beach for an hour, I could clear stuff and I could hear what it is that I wanted. And so my next step, whatever that was what was so much more in tune with my path. So the consequence, if you will, of not being in any kind of stillness and always scrolling and always calling and always talking and always emailing and always grinding is that you'll never get to the thing, and you're going to end up exhausted and burned out, and you're never really going to do the thing that you really, really want on this planet while you're alive. And for me, that music that's there, that makes you sing and makes you feel something, feel alive. It's sad. It brings me the tears all the time when I see it. And so the consequence of not knowing what silence really means for you is extremely disheartening. And I pray and hope and wish that everybody can hear this conversation that we're having today. So thank you for doing this.
I did too. And what you've said is just so empowering, because you're giving us, through Joy Intelligence, tools that we could actually work with in order to bring out our voices so we can be heard. And a lot of my audience are from education, because I taught for 15 years, and then I went into publishing, and I worked with schools, all over the country. So it's important too that this message gets out to our youth. So how do you think Joy Intelligence could impact our youth? Or do you have a plan
Yes.
to bring it to especially high school? I mean, I know we need it at elementary and middle and high school, but they have a lot of decisions that they have to make moving forward with everything going in the world, like you say. Give us your thoughts on that.
Well, as I've been saying, I think since I started this, that 70% of us, it doesn't matter what age, are walking around with some level of extreme invisible mental health issues. And so, and I think at age 4 is when that really starts to take off for us, because we're entering school, our parents have more demands on us, like all the things happen. And so I loved it last night when Susan Lynn was speaking, and she was saying, like, excuse me, but no one's really pointed out the children's chair of joy over there in the book that we wrote and all the things. But I think that, to me, when we get in programs and charter schools and all the things like that, shift is going to, those kids are going to shift the parents, and the parents eventually, it'll come full circle. But at the end of the day, I don't think we talked about this yet, Gail, but we are so afraid of that silence. And so I would love to just speak and say we're going to do a group of people. But first, what we have to do is draw in the people that are okay with the silence. So our market is, the HR directors who are kind of doing therapy anyway, right? There's teachers and advocates and, people in therapy and mental health and wellness and sports and all those things that sort of have that mindset and mentality first, that if I am quiet, so much more good as a result. And so I think, to answer your question, I'm like, let's get to it all, but let's get to the people who are open to being able to sit still for at least a full minute without moving and thinking so fast and so furiously. And so that's a skill that when I watch people, it's nearly impossible right now because of everything that's coming at us. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So as we're getting the message out there, as we're getting ready to close in a little bit, how can someone who's listening to today feel, well, let's put it this way. How can they get in contact with you? Is there... Let's start with that.
And I'll be right there. I don't know. There's, we just did a national press release where we announced our modality in California. We're going to do emotional regulation behavioral therapy. So I would go to joyly.com and learn all about all of those things and start getting into Joy Intelligence for yourself. And so I'm Cheryl. I'm happy to give my phone number. When we end, we put it in the description, or my email, my LinkedIn, all the things. And I can't wait to talk to everyone. So please call me and let's continue the conversation. I love this, Gail. Thank you for doing it.
Absolutely. And the question I was going to ask you earlier, for someone that's listening today, and they still feel afraid, what would you want them to know?
Well, what we put big on the screen last night, right? Repeat after me, the same as we did. Emotions are not good or bad, right? They're not good or bad. They're not right or wrong. They're not up and down. So every emotion that you have when you're feeling fear or sadness or worry about speaking or saying something, just know that on the other side of that is resilience and strength and attitude and awe and genius. And so all of those emotions weigh the same. So just feel them and get out there and be on the stage and speak your voice, raise it, because people need to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely. And I am even going to take that advice to heart as well, because like we said, no matter what level you are, you always get those nerves, but just get out there and get the courage to do so. So thank you, Sherilyn. I am so happy that you have joined us today. And with that, we are going to close. And you have I understand you're getting ready to take off. So you have a wonderful trip and stay safe.
I can't wait. Gail, you text me all the way. I have so much fun talking with you and your people, and anything I can do for you, you let me know.
And thank you to our audience for joining us today on this podcast, Breaking the Silence and Finding the Courage to be Heard. Bye-bye.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.